Hey guys, it's Angie, aka Angelo Correro, and today I just want to go and do a little breakdown of my new song, Airplane Mode.
Real ones stay real ones no more, and bitches come and bitches go, so they can't have my love no more, they can't have my time no more.
So, getting right into it, whenever I make a beat, I always like to add little creative sounds. In this case, it's a cassette tape to start off the song, but it varies, maybe even sometimes like movie lines, stuff like that. But it just keeps the beat interesting and gives it that little spice. When the beat hits, or the sample, sorry. But yeah, so just to clarify, this video is more of just a breakdown of the beat. I'm not going to go into mixing and mastering and the vocals and all that stuff in this video, but that will be something I will be venturing off into in next upcoming videos. And give you a little taste of it. So going into the sample, obviously you add an EQ. You always want to add EQs on everything you do. So for the sample, sorry, let me just go over here. It starts off, and you can tell here there's nothing playing over here, right? It's very faint. There's no sound. But what happens when you leave that in the mix is that when you add different sounds and layers and all this stuff, it adds up and it does create a muddiness, and your beat doesn't come out crisp and tight. You know what I mean? It's not as clean. So what I do is I literally just remove it all with the EQ. Right to about where it stops making any significant amount of volume or sound. Okay. Same thing with the low end. Cut it out, and I literally drag it out, and I go to the extent of even bringing the second band down and taking that out. Now, another thing is the 150 hertz area is very common area for muddy sound, that it doesn't sound good. It crowds the low end. It can create clipping and all that type of stuff, right? So I take it down a bit with the third band, and you could do this pretty much with anything, obviously not with your kick or anything like that, but with all your instruments and samples and stuff that you use, and you can play around with it, right? It's going to hit differently for some samples than others, right? But go for the goal of having a very clean beat, because you can have the simplest beat and it could not even have good notes, or the instruments aren't the greatest, right? But if it sounds clean and crisp, it's going to sound good. So it's very important to do these little things in your mixes to make the beat sound much better, right? So going forward, after the parametric EQ, we got a stereo enhancer, and pretty much I stereo separate it, and it just widens out the sample and allows this little space in the center for your vocals to kind of sit. And it also allows me not to have my vocals so loud, which then in the end lets the vocals sound like they're sitting inside the beat rather than on top of the beat, right? So then it kind of gives it that whole finished and polished feel or sound. So after that, you add a limiter. So when you have the limiter going, you can see that like roughly it's all around here. And I just cut off the tips because you want to have a consistency, right? You don't want it to get louder in some points and then quieter in some points. It'll throw it off, right? So I limit it to a certain extent. You don't want to overdo it, obviously. And then obviously reverb. Everyone loves reverb. And I also stereo separate the reverb. That way the sample sounds even bigger. So that's a little bit of mixing. Moving back to the structure of the beat, it's a very simple beat. I found with my vocals, simple beats work better for me. I don't like going into crazy intricate beats. I do make crazy beats and I do have artists that use them, but for myself, I like it very simple, and I more concentrate on the pauses and the breaks and the different elements I add in and out, right? But for the most part, the beat is just then that's really it. We got a kick, a hi-hat, a snare, another snare, and another hi-hat for some accents. So that's the first half of the chorus here, and then after that we go into the second half where it drops. So now, it being a simple beat, you want to add elements. So this is where I bring in the synth bass, and the synth bass is very full and it gives it that epic sound, right? It's very epic. It's not like an 808 where it's more like rappy, but it gives it very epic. And then I also add a simple hat, and it just goes like this. And that's it. It's very simple, but when it's all put together, it gives it that little extra when it drops, right? So it kind of goes.
Won't go ghost, say your piece, then close the door. They can't have my time no more. Real ones stay real ones no more. Real ones stay real ones no more.
And then we come to the first official verse. And all I do for the first little bit of it is I remove the hi-hats. And what that allows the song to do is let the listener focus on the vocals more. And it's a way to separate the chorus from the verse. When you're using simple beats, you have to do little things like that to separate it so it's not so repetitive, right? So it goes.
Time flew by, so now I've grown. Took a lot of time to heal, I know. Friends be friends till they ain't no more. Love be love till a new one show.
And then here I add an 808. Like I said, keeping it separate from the chorus. You want to have it. You want to have a very dynamic beat when it's simple, right? By doing these little things, you can make it a very complex beat when it's not really. So like I said, all these gaps, little pauses, they help tremendously. So you come into this part that's pink here, and all I did for the, I guess you can call it a second verse, is I took the sample and I just reversed it. And it completely changes the feel of the song, but it gives it that little, I guess, I don't know what you want to call it, but maybe a switch up. But yeah, so then it just goes. And it's a very cool vibe. And then I just add an open cymbal for a drop.
Take a look around, see the snakes in the grass. Expect disappointment, even though they said they'd be there. Put it all together, all these people made of glass. I ain't gonna wait, cause to me that wouldn't be fair. Circle got small, take notes like class. When things go south, I'ma see who's gonna be there. Tell me, are you gonna be there?
Another pause.
Real ones stay real ones no more. And bitches come and bitches go. So they can't have my love no more. They can't have my time no more. Schedule tight, I gotta go.
So you can tell this chorus has that big pause there. Each chorus is different from each other. They all have something different to keep the listener intrigued and listening, right? And that's what's the most important part about structuring a song, is keeping the listener interested. The vocals can be dog shit and it wouldn't matter as long as the beat is very interesting, right? It's going to keep people listening. So that's pretty much it. It's a very simple beat with intricate pauses and different switch ups and stuff, and that's why it works. That's why less is more, to an extent obviously, but less is more. You just have to know how to navigate around that concept. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video. I'll be making more videos talking about vocal mixing, beat mixing, getting really in depth. If you guys have any questions, if you use FL and you want to know how to do something, or you want to see something done, let me know and I will make a video about it and post it. But until then, thanks for watching, and I hope you guys take a listen to my new song, Airplane Mode. Peace.
Real ones stay real ones no more.